Hey everyone, I'm Grant Messner,
I'm Colin.
and this is the Trainer Talk podcast, episode one, season one, first ever episode we've ever done. Today we kind of want to just go through and give you guys a little bit of background on who we are, who we help, what we do, and how we got into fitness. Yeah, Colin, do you want to kick it off? For me, it's up to you. I don't really care.
All up to you. You can kick us off here.
All right, I will kick us off. Fitness. I would say the first time I really got into fitness was probably my freshman year, end of my freshman year of college. I'd always been an athlete growing up. I played baseball in high school, football in high school, played a little basketball when I was younger. Was pretty horrible at basketball. Uh, I had the advantage. I was tall, so I was like in middle school, like seventh and eighth grade. I was like 6 feet tall. And so I haven't grown since then, by the way. I'm still 6 feet tall. Uh, but I had the height advantage, right? So I was kind of just like the center, the big man. I didn't really have ball handling skills, and then everybody kind of caught up to me, and I stopped being, as good at basketball. But baseball and football, high school, those are my main two. Uh, I would say I had like baseball, I had a decent amount of kind of just natural ability that I kind of got by on. I didn't take training as seriously in high school as I probably should have. I think if I had taken training more seriously in high school for baseball, I would have probably been better in college when I did start to take it very, very seriously. But I got by on some natural ability. I came in probably freshman year throwing in the low 80s, which was pretty hard compared to most kids my age. I kind of coasted on that. And then football, I was pretty shit. Like I was like a third string tight end. I wasn't the best. I loved it. It was a great program. Like great experience and everything. Coaches were awesome, but the ability was not there as much. But I would say like in high school, I like low key developed a lot of like not so great habits, especially on the eating side. Like I was constantly eating breakfast cereals for breakfast with all the added sugars, all the uh, you know, all the seed oils you can think of, all that stuff. Washing it down with some orange juice and then maybe like a donut or something on the side. It was bad. And then like lunches, it'd be like my mom would pack me like a healthy sandwich, and I would eat like a quarter of that, and then I'd eat the Reese's for dessert. I'd eat the chips. I'd have soda. It was bad, man. Like I didn't treat my body that well when I was younger. And kind of as a result of that, it was like I wasn't in like I was able to like play the sports that I played at like a reasonable level, but it wasn't like I was in like elite shape. I had like kind of a dad bod physique. I think there's some pictures on my Twitter profile in different places of kind of like my before after. And I used to be a little chunky. I'm not gonna hide that. I used to be not in the best shape. I was like somewhat strong, not like super strong, but like maybe it was deadlifting like 3 plates, squatting like 2 plates for reps. Not nothing crazy, but I wasn't like super super weak by any means. Um, but I really got into fitness because I wanted to take baseball to the next level. I realized like freshman year of high school, so like kind of end or freshman year of college, I mean, end of senior year of high school, I really like started to train more for baseball and like was still not in the best shape physically, and like I wasn't the strongest or anything, but I started to take the throwing aspect of baseball training really seriously. And I went from like probably, like low 80s to end of my senior year, I was touching 88. Going into college, I was touching 90. So all of a sudden it was like, oh shit, like, I got this is like harder than most. I played D3 too. So I was like, this is probably harder than like 95% of Division 3 baseball players throw. So I was like, I'm feeling pretty good going into the season. And it was kind of that, uh, it was kind of that, experience that got me into fitness, because I was like, okay, I'm able to touch, like low, like touch 90, sit kind of in the mid to high 80s without really taking this that seriously. Like what would happen if I were to really put forth a lot of time and effort into this shit, and just kind of see, where that went. So I would say end of freshman year of high school, I actually went on like a big cut, a big like fat loss phase. So I was at like 205. I'm 6 feet tall, right? So 6 foot 205, 210 maybe. And I cut all the way down to like 180, 185 over the summer. And my lifts all stayed like right around exactly the same where they were. Like bench press, squat, deadlift, all that stuff. Right around kind of just picked up where I left off with those. But I was a lot skinnier. I actually like that was the one time in my life where I felt like really skinny. I was like, like I looked at like old pictures of myself at the time and I was like, holy crap, I was like really skinny at the time. But that was really the first time that I started to understand, okay, this is how fat loss works. Like I have to eat a calorie deficit. I have to start swapping out some of this crap that I was eating, right? The cereals and the candy bars and all that stuff for for healthy foods. I started eating like Greek yogurt for breakfast. I started eating steak. I started eating ground beef. I started eating eggs. I started eating all that shit more often. And that really was kind of the big change that I made there. I don't know if Colin, you ever heard of the vertical diet, Stan Efferding vertical diet?
I've heard parts of it. Haven't really
Okay.
looked too far into it, but I know
Yeah.
of it, but I don't know it.
Yeah. So basically, the idea is you kind of you build that base of the pyramid out with your protein, right? So your meat, your steak, your chicken, things like that, and then your rice, and like so you have you have the protein, and then you have the carb source, and then you also eat like the kind of horizontal part of it is you eat these like kind of micronutrient dense foods. So things like I'm trying to remember some because I don't really follow it that strictly anymore, but spinach was on there, orange juice was on there, cranberry juice was on there, carrots, salmon. There's a bunch of different ones, but basically, you kind of have following that framework really allowed me to like kind of have okay, like I could kind of view foods. I kind of look at a food and be like, okay, like is this healthy? Is this not healthy? Right? And that was really the big change there. So sophomore year comes and goes, right? I'm about 180, 185. That summer was when I really started to understand kind of bulking and how to bulk correctly. Because like in high school, like I said, I played football, got up to like 205. But like the bulks were kind of dirty bulks, like realistically, right? Like I was eating not very healthy. I uh, wasn't really watching what I was eating very much. It was more of just like I'm just going to eat a ton of seafood, eat food. That was kind of the diet I was on. But now it was like, okay, I'm going to actually make sure I'm focusing on protein dense foods while also getting into a calorie surplus. And doing that was really the key to growing muscle. As you know, Colin, you obviously know this because you're working with clients who are your focus is clients who build muscle and add strength there. So I'm sure you're super familiar with this, but like changing my diet into that kind of a mold was really, really important. So that was really when I started to understand muscle growth. I actually remember coming back into that like junior year, probably at 190, 195. And our trainer actually asked me, and I was like, listen, for clarity, like I was bigger, but I wasn't like super, super big. But our trainer looked and she asked like one of the other guys, and she was like, is Grant using steroids or something? I was like, come on. I'm like, clearly, like, I'm not, I was bigger, but I didn't look like fucking Ronnie Coleman or something, right? So I
Yeah.
wasn't, whatever. But I was like, okay, like, at least like people are noticing, like, at least I'm getting bigger. Like, I feel like I look bigger. I'm stronger. This is probably was the first time I deadlifted like 405. Probably was the first time I squatted like 315, maybe. Bench, I don't remember. I actually hit 225 like relatively late because we just did so much dumbbell bench, but like my dumbbell bench went up to like I was repping like 80s, 85s, no problem. And so yeah, so anyway, basically like I kind of learned through that baseball experience like how to kind of build muscle, lose fat, etc. And like the baseball experience, like the career didn't turn out how I wanted. I didn't get to pro ball. I honestly didn't even throw that much harder, believe it or not, even though I was way stronger by the end of my career. I didn't throw that much harder, but I definitely learned a ton about fitness and strength training, which is kind of how I help my clients. And then now fast forward to we're done with college, right? We graduate COVID year 2020, graduate that year is a whole mess. Um, that was, probably one of the more challenging years of anyone to graduate, I would imagine. But I, yeah, basically, like I start work at a trading firm, a quantitative trading firm based in Chicago. I was actually living at home in Lake Forest. So I'm from Chicago, Illinois originally, or from Lake Forest, Illinois originally, and I live in downtown Chicago. Lake Forest is about an hour north of the city. So I just lived like at my parents' house, worked out of this little desk set up at my dad's in the upstairs bedroom, in my bedroom at my dad's house, and I did that whole thing. But as you can probably imagine, right, like quantitative trading, finance industry as a whole, right, very stressful. Long hours. I was working probably 11-hour days, Monday through Friday, and even during the training too. Like we had like a 4 or 5 month training period before we actually started full time on the desk, and the training period, it was like there were some days where I was like literally working till 1 in the morning. I was like, and we started like like 7, 8 a.m. So it was like a crazy, crazy long day because we had like a project we had to finish or something we had to finish, and they would kind of grade us on it. But you know, through that experience, it was like I was able to continue kind of what I'd started in college with the bulking and cutting cycles and really understanding how that all worked. So when I was working this job, it was like, yeah, like I was starting. So like once it kind of got settled in, right, it was like I'd start at 7:30 a.m. I'd finish at 6:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, pretty much. Friday sometimes we get out a little earlier, just because it's Friday, it's more chill, right? That's kind of how it works. Um, so you know, I really like what was really the key to me for me to stay, kind of mentally in a good spot. And I dealt with the stress. Like the stress was definitely something that I did struggle with at times a bit, but I'm a really really firm believer that having good habits set up was the key to me managing stress about as well as I possibly could when I was at that job. And those habits were, so number one, like sleeping like consistently, right? Like I was consistently able to get 8 hours in pretty much every night. uh yeah, like I'd get to bed probably around 10:30, 11, get up probably 6:30 to 7, go over to work, get started that way. And so sleep was a big one. Also like eating healthy, right? Like I meal prepped, and this is a huge thing too, is because a lot of people, a lot of the clients that I help, right, it's like they're working stressful jobs, they're busy, they don't always have time to cook every single night. And like quite frankly, like who the fuck wants to cook I don't know. Do you cook every night, Colin? I don't think so. Probably
No,
not, right? Yeah,
never.
right. Sweet. So yeah, I mean, me neither. I still meal prep even now, that I'm not working that job anymore. But the meal prepping was one where it's just such a game changer, right? It's like I can, I can create like 5 days worth of meals at once as opposed to just doing one meal. And it's just such a time saver. So I would start doing that like Sunday nights. I'd go through, or sometimes I do like Sunday, and then I do like Thursday. I take a day off from the gym, and then I just meal prep that day. Or I do like a light workout. Like I think my apartment at the time was actually pretty sick. There was like a basketball court up on the roof, was enclosed just so like during the winter you could still use it and everything. And I would just go up, and like my like kind of default workout, my backup workout was like, okay, if I don't go to the gym, it's like I'm just gonna go up and shoot threes for like 30 minutes or something. And like that was probably the best my jump shot's ever been, believe it or not. I'm a brick now, but at the time I was like, I'd be like dribbling, I just turn around, boom, chuck up a three and make it. And so yeah, but anyway, managing the time effectively with the the meal prepping and stuff was huge. And then the last part obviously was the physical exercise, right? Because like we all know, exercise is great for managing stress, it's great for your mental health, it's really good for all that. So for me, it was just like the way I stayed consistent with it was just having that same time every day. And it was like, for me, I actually experimented with going in the morning at one point, and that involved me getting up at like 5:30 and doing this shit. Like not only getting up at like getting up at 5:30, it's like I can do that, but getting up at 5:30 and then going straight to the gym, was the really hard part there. And that for me, like it was the reason why I struggle with that was because the night before I get really anxious because I know like, okay, cool, like, I gotta go load up like 315 on the bar and squat it like as many times as I can tomorrow. Like, fuck, I really don't want to do that at 6 in the morning. So um that was kind of why I stopped going in the mornings. But after work, I found that like 7 p.m. time slot. So I lived like 5 minute walk away from work, walk back home, go to my apartment, change, go to the gym, get the workout done, and then be done for the night. And that having that consistent schedule is really, really important. And so, I realized, right, like as I was going through and doing this, not only was I like kind of hanging in there and maintaining the strength I had built it before, I was actually like still progressing and still gaining strength and getting bigger and stronger. And I think so I'm trying to remember the exact numbers because it's been a little bit. But I think when I was at that job, I was able to deadlift 565, bench press 295, and squat 345. I'm pretty sure were all my like one reps. And when I came like coming in, I was nowhere close to that. I was probably like, maybe squatting 315. I was maybe bench pressing like 265, and I was probably not even deadlifting. Like maybe I think I had just broken 500 when I started that job. So I made like significant progress in all of those when I was there. And so, I realized that, and this was too, like, a lot of people I worked with, a lot of people were like, I'd hear them saying things like, oh, like making excuses like, oh, I don't have time for the gym. I don't have time for, I don't have time to eat health. I don't have time to cook tonight. I'm just going to order takeout. Didn't really get much sleep last night because, I was up late doing whatever. I really realized that like the kind of what I was doing and the kind of lifestyle I was living, even despite even in spite of the fact I was working these long hours, I was like, okay, there are a lot of people out there who really struggle with prioritizing their health and fitness when they're at a job like this. And so that's kind of what got me into like Twitter. So like, fast forward last spring, April, I ended up leaving that job. It was like I said, like it was a super interesting job, great people at the company and everything. It was just, I think long term, not for me. And so, I left that job. I went a different direction, and I got into the online fitness space. I think that's when you and I when did we meet, Colin? I think it was probably like last summer, like maybe June, July of last summer.
Yeah, June and July of 2020.
Somewhere around then. When my account was real small at the time. I was probably like 300 followers, like max. So maybe not even 100, honestly. Probably we probably met through. I'm sure we probably met through Elevate. And at the time when I first joined Elevate, I had like 20 followers. Like I distinctly remember. But yeah. What was I gonna say? But anyway, I realized that this kind of person, like the person who is struggling with the stress management, the person who is working those long hours, the person who feels like they don't have time to cook, don't have time to go to the gym, don't have time to eat healthy, don't have time to do all the other habits they need to do to prioritize their health and fitness. Or, maybe doesn't even realize that health and fitness should be a priority. Like that was the exact person. Those were the shoes that I walked in. And that's the type of person that I know I can help on their fitness journey. So basically that's how I got into the space. That's who I help. And yeah, that's pretty much what I do. Yeah.
Solid.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You want to go ahead and give them a little background on what you do, Colin?
Yeah. So, as Grant mentioned, I'm more tailored to helping the people that have struggled being skinny. They struggled their entire life with their clothes not fitting tight. They're always too big, or there's not tall, or the shirts just aren't big enough to fit them. They're a small when in reality they should be wearing a medium, but they want to look tight. They want that tight fitting shirt. They want their muscles to look like they're there. And that came from, my entire life I played baseball, played that from like 4 years on until I was 18. I played basketball, but I wasn't any good at it. I could dribble with my right hand and I was quick. And if you could stop me from going to my right side, there was nothing I could do. I ran cross country and track. I was good at track simply because I was just quick, but I wasn't something I actually enjoyed doing. I just did it because I wanted to. And I think my fitness journey started when I was about 11, 12 years old. My dad started going to CrossFit and I saw the impact it could make in people's lives. And so I went with him as a kid. We started a kids class for kids around my age during that time. And I did that up until seventh, eighth grade. And then my sports just got too much for me to handle. It was this travel baseball all the time or basketball, cross country. So I ultimately quit that. And I don't think I really ever started to lift truly until it was freshman year of high school. And I enjoyed it. I understood how to do it, but I didn't take it serious. I mean, I'm not saying I was any good at baseball, but I was out there, I played, and I mean, I wasn't going anywhere. I was really quick, and as long as I could get to first base, I was going to score simply because I just steal every base. That's it. There never once while I hit the ball at the outfield, I was hitting a little dribbler at third base and beating out that throw every single time. That was it.
Nice.
And so that led to me. I mean, so my senior year was 2020 of high school, and so I was prepping for it, hoping for a great year, and ultimately COVID cut that short. And
Yep.
I'm not saying I planned at all for what was going to happen after my senior year. I was just looking forward to baseball season. And so when that happened, I didn't know what I was going to do. I mean, all my friends had either their college lined up or they had the military they were going to. And I was like, well, shit, what am I going to do? I have nothing set up right now. And so I was like, okay, what am I good at doing? I was like, okay, I'm good at selling things and I'm good at talking to people. Let's just become a car salesman. They make lots of money. Why not become that? So I worked that
Sure.
job for about 3, 4 months. I worked for my friend's dad. I was just his car detailer and I was working 12, 13-hour days. And I was like, man, this shit sucks. I don't want to do this. And after that, I was like, well, I need to figure out what I want to do. So I got a job at this factory and I was like, man, this shit sucks. Filled with depressed people, no ambition in life, no nothing. And that led me on ultimately going back to the gym. I started getting more into my fitness and I was like, man, like I enjoy this. And then I enjoy helping people, I enjoy talking. And I was like, well, maybe I should try college. Maybe I should go back, but what can I do that would make me a lot of money and I get to do what I actually enjoy doing? And from a young age, I always enjoyed the body. I enjoyed how it works. I took anatomy 101 and 102 in high school. And right now, all that knowledge is going to waste for me. So I was like, oh, I'll become a physical therapist. So that first year of college, it was a breeze. I understood everything they were teaching me. And I started doing my clinicals for physical therapy school. I was, I think, 2 or 3 months out from being accepted. And I was third in my class of like 80 some people. And I was like, oh, this is a breeze. Like I was destined to be successful in it. And during one of I was doing an inpatient treatment, which is the patient stays at the hospital or wherever they're located for an extended period of time. They're not allowed to leave. They're there at all times. And so the person was in there. They had like 4 different back surgeries done in a matter of like the 4 week time span. It was like
Damn.
their back was destroyed. And so our goal was to get them to practically relearn how to walk, relearn how to bend over, relearn how to do everything they did their entire lives. And I'm a curious person. I want to know why they started feeling the pain. And so I was talking to them and found out like their pain did not require the surgery if they properly went at it. And I understood that. All of the other people there understood that, but simply because of insurance reasons, we weren't allowed to help them. We had to do what insurance said. I was like, man, like, fuck this. Like, I want to help somebody. Like, I don't want them to be back here in 6 months because they still have the pain. I want them to go live their lives.
Yeah.
And I saw that, and I ended up seeing a reoccurring theme with every single clinical I did was the people that needed it, the way we had to help them wasn't the way they needed the help. We were just treating them and not curing them. And I was like, man, like, fuck this. Like, hate these, like, this is stupid.
Sure.
And so, I made the decision of just completely dropping out. It was a Sunday night, and I was like, I don't want to go to my clinical tomorrow. I don't want to do this. Like, am I actually helping people? So I emailed my guidance counselor, whatever. I said, I don't want to do this. I'm done. That was it. And the email wasn't explaining why. I said, I don't want this. I'm done. And
Nice.
emailed that, unenrolled from all my classes, got all my
Nice.
scholar, got all my scholarships pulled, which actually that part sucks. I had to pay it back,
Yeah.
but so all that. And at this point, I was like, man, like, oh shit, like now what am I gonna do? And at this point, I was lifting all the time. I enjoyed it. I was like, what if I could do that? Like, what if I could help people lift? Like, what if I could become a personal trainer? And, in my town, there's not really many gyms to go to. And the gyms that are here aren't really the greatest. They aren't the environment I want to be able to coach in. And I was
Sure.
like, well, what if I just did online? Like I can help people online do it. And
Yeah.
that's when one of my good friends, Matt Moore, moved back into town, and he showed me how he was doing it and how he was living his life. And I was like, man, like this is great. I want to do
Nice.
this. So I
Sure.
had Twitter from like freshman year, but I didn't do anything on there. So I had like 300 some followers, but I was just my friends. I wasn't posting. I wasn't really doing anything. I was just my friends that were there.
Yep.
And so, I started posting, I started getting into it more. And then it just led from one thing to the next. And I was like, man, like I could really do this. And so I just kept that going. And I always like at first I was helping anybody who wanted help. I didn't like really niche down. I didn't figure out who I wanted to help. I enjoyed it
Sure.
all. So, and then I was like, man, like I don't want to help people lose weight. Like I've never felt their problems before. Like I've never been overweight. So how can I help people that I can actually feel their connection with? And I remember like I was going through some pictures and I was like, man, like I was always skinny. Like I never had that muscle mass on me. Like I was weighing 155 pounds in high school. And I was like,
Mhm.
man, like I fixed it. Why can't I help people fix it? And
Right.
so I think from May of 2022 or so until October, I went on like this 6 month like clean bulk diet. I went from like 180, 155 to like 185.
Mhm.
I don't know what my lifts were at, but I was significantly stronger. I know my when I graduated, my bench PR was like 235. And at this point, 265, I was repping out for 3 to 5 reps. My strength was there. My
Sure.
squat, my deadlift were significantly higher. I was like,
Mhm.
man, like I could just do this. And so I tailored all of my content and tailored all of who I helped to people that struggled to gain weight. They always struggled being skinny. They weren't truly confident in who they are. And my ultimate goal now is to just push that, help people that have been the hard gainers. They
Yeah.
aren't able to gain the weight. They feel like all they're doing is eating and their scale never changes.
Sure. 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 Yeah, because there's a lot of people out there, right, that are, I mean, I think like people, it's very easy to look at like the obesity rate, right, and say, like there's 40% of America is obese, which is actually like an insane statistic when you think about it. But
Yeah.
it's very true. Like if you look around, it's a very true number. But there's also for every person who's obese, maybe there's not as many people, but there's a lot of people who are in kind of the opposite boat where they're really skinny, trying to bulk up, they're not really sure how to do it, and they just need some help there. So, helping those kind of people is doing great work too.
Yeah. It's definitely more enjoyable. I understand their pain they're coming from. I know I was in that exact same shoes they were in. I
Yeah,
was skinny. My
yeah,
t-shirts were always too big on me.
yeah.
And so I understand what they're going through. So I'm able to connect with them on more of a personal level and
Sure,
push
sure,
that out.
sure. And Colin too, tell them about like the injury you had when you were in high school, like lifting, and how you kind of were able to battle back through that and get back into you know building muscle and getting stronger again after that.
So my junior year of high school, it was March. It was March of my junior year of high school, which would be 2019 maybe. Yeah, 2019. It was a max week for high school. And I think it was like 1 week before spring break started. And if we went pound for pound, I was strong for all my lifts. And I think I loaded 405 up on the bar for my back squat. or I loaded 400 up for my back squat and I got it. And the coach was like, "Oh, I'll try 405." And I was like, "I don't know. I'm kind of gassed. Like this has killed me right here." But he's like, "Oh, for the 4 plates on each side, like your weight to this, like it's insane." I was like, this guy's got me. He pitched me the sale and I took it. And I remember I hit depth. Oh, I got down to the depth. When I went to stand up, something just went completely wrong. I felt every muscle on my back, on the lower back right side of me, every muscle just completely vanished. Like I was like, "Oh fuck!" Like I fell down, dropped all that weight. I was just in immense pain. And so,
Yes.
I ended up getting like carted over to the trainer, and I ended up tearing my back muscle there on that. Which, if you don't know what a torn muscle feels like, I hope you never do know what it feels like. It
Sure.
sucks.
Sure. What
And
muscle was it on your back that you tore?
I don't know
Like a spinal
exactly.
erector or something? Or
I think it was, yeah, it was the lower portion of my spinal erector to where it connects to your pelvis at. It tore off from there.
yeah, that's tough.
And yeah, that was not a fun time. And
Yeah.
I mean, it was baseball season was starting in a week. I didn't want to miss. I didn't want to miss out my junior year. So, I just threw a back brace on and called it a good day and played through it. And,
Yeah.
I do not recommend that. Do not do that. If you're listening, do not. And next thing you know is fast forward to July 10th of 2022, I was deadlifting. And I think this is what ultimately caused me to have my next injury. I ended up suffering a herniated disc in my back,
Yeah.
which that is also a very bad thing to happen. It's where like your discs are all aligned like this, and this one is now like this on me. So
Sure.
it's no longer aligned.
Sure.
And that ended up hurting really bad. Like I was in that pain for a long time. And I mean, I went to the doctors about it. I got the MRIs, the X-rays. Every single one of them pushed, "Oh, get the surgery, do surgery." But with surgery, there's come those complications, especially on your back at such a young age.
Sure.
I, I just your spine's very delicate. It's not made to be touched. It doesn't want to be touched, and so doing the surgery would eliminate a lot of flexibility. It would eliminate a lot. I mean, it eliminate the pain, but in the long run, it would not be worth my time. It would not be worth all the sacrifices I'd have to make. And so I was like, fuck these doctors. Like, I'm not going to stop what I'm doing. Like, this is fun. I don't want to stop it. And
Sure.
so I end up from January of this year until July of this year, I had the recovery that I went through. Not many people will talk about healing a herniated disc outside of surgery. And so I was
Right.
like, man, like I'm going into this completely blind. No one knows what they're doing. I don't even know what I'm really doing here. I'm just
Yeah.
going to figure it out. And hopefully I'm able to live my life. And
Yeah.
fast forward to what's the date today?
Literally this past weekend. Yeah. I thought you
fast
were gonna
forward
say
to uh fast forward to 2 days
four
ago.
405, 425, or whatever it
Yeah,
was.
fast forward, I deadlifted 425 with a herniated disc in my back, and I am able to move around today. Don't have a broken back. I don't have numbness in my leg. I am
Yeah.
completely healthy, and all those doctors are going to shoot me because I did it, but I didn't get this. I didn't get the surgery like they told me to, and they're mad that I can defy the odds.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it really goes to show, and this is true with, you know, depending on whether you're working on building muscle, losing weight, just maintaining health and fitness in general. Like it's the old saying, like movement is medicine. It's pretty true, right? Because I know you do a lot, a lot of like rehab, a lot of mobility work, a lot of that kind of the stuff like that to just keep your back healthy and kind of functioning, even though you have that herniated disc and that injury. So um, it's really pretty cool to see because I was there. I saw this live too. For those who don't know, we were both at the same event, Elevate House of Steel 2023 deadlift competition, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to see you do that because you weren't even sure if you were going to pull going into the day, and then you're just like, yeah, I'm just going to load up 4 plates in the bar and knock that out nice and easy. So
Yeah, I mean, going into it, I was like, man, like, what if I get hurt? I mean, I got a 5.5 hour drive back home. Like, that ain't gonna be a fun drive if I'm like in severe pain. And then I was like, like, how can I prove to myself that the recovery worked? Like, I'm not hurting you right now, but I haven't tried to deadlift this much ever
yeah,
really. And I was
right,
like, what the first thing with my mind was, I mean, my mom didn't raise a bitch, so I kind of have to try it. And I got the 135 to 25, and I did 315, and I watched
Sure.
the video of me doing it, and it moved like butter. Like it
Yeah.
went up quick. It was
Nice.
great form. I was like, okay, now I have to. Now I have to keep pushing.
Sure. Sure.
And
You did it.
I might have gotten stapled at 465, but
That's okay,
hey,
man. I mean, you haven't like, you're
you're
back pulling heavy again. Like most people can't even break 4 plates. So I mean,
yeah.
it's
I mean,
impressive to see what you did.
knowing 15 months ago I was lying on the ground holding my back in severe pain from the first injury,
Yeah.
I'm proud of the effort I've came. Now I got to shoot for the
Right.
500
Right.
and
Right.
keep it going.
Very cool. Very cool. I think you'll get there for sure. Yeah.
Give me a year of actually training deadlifts. I've only
Yeah.
deadlifted like 3 times since that injury too.
Right. Right. Yeah. And
So
now it's now you're feeling good too. Is the
yeah,
thing. Like, now you trained up a bit. You keep hammering that mobility work. Like you'll be in a good spot.
yeah.
Sweet. Sweet. Well, I think that's pretty much all of our both of our stories, right, Colin? Is there anything else you want to say or add on?
I think that wraps up our backstories. And it
Sweet.
wraps us who we are and how we got into what we're
Yes,
doing.
sir. Yes, sir. So yeah, this has been season one, episode one, maybe just episode one. I don't even know if we're gonna do seasons or not yet. We'll find out. But
Wing it as
it's
we
been episode
go.
one of the Trainer Talk podcast. I appreciate you guys all listening. What we'll be doing going forward is we're going to be having people on as guest speakers. We're going to try to do this every other week, and have different speakers on across different areas of health, fitness, entrepreneurship, and other kind of related fields. So yeah, guys, stay tuned for the next one. Colin, this has been fun. I'm glad we got to hop on and do this. And we will see you guys. We will see you guys again soon. Sweet, sweet.